This is Mike Gonzalez from Green Vigilante Media, and today we are interviewing Sedinam, who is running to be the Green Party candidate for President of the United States in the 2020 election. Sedinam, thank you for being here. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me. I think it's critically important to have such dialogue. So thank you. Early Sunday morning.
Yes, early.
Your question was tell folks about me?
Yeah, to give us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I'm a native Californian. I was born, bred, and rose in the Pueblo del Rio housing projects here in South Central Los Angeles. I'm one of 20 children, number 16 at the bottom of my father and my mother. My father's 20 children, but I'm number 11 from my mother. Strong Pan-African tradition, strong green tradition, strong literary reading, working union background, and community involvement and caring about the planet. I met folks who were doing that in 1962, and I've maintained that connection with them, with those principles I got from my family, my community, and my nation.
Excellent. You come from a big family. That must be nice when you have reunions.
Every event is a family reunion because you can't have 3 people with that. If you invite one sister who has 11 children, it's a reunion. So I laugh and tease my friends that I only had my own bed when I went to Ghana when I was 26. I only had my own bedroom. So sharing and socialism is inbred in my upbringing.
Excellent. I like that. So Sedinam, you ran in the past. Can you tell us a little bit about what offices you ran for in the past?
Oh, yes, please. I was seeking the Green Party's vice presidential nomination in 2008. I sought the Green Party presidential nomination in 2016. The Green Party has no training and development program for folks of color. So me running for vice president was a way to set the tone of how we can ensure, the browning of our nation, that our political leadership reflected what the nation is and will be by the end of the century.
Oh, that's interesting. You ran for president in 2016, correct? I believe I saw
Yes.
you in a debate on RT, is that correct?
Yes, please. Myself, Kent Mesplay, and Dr. Jill Stein had a debate that they hosted for us.
Excellent. And I vaguely remember, I just remember you by sight now. I didn't know you before then, or really before now, actually. But what I remember is that you did pretty good in the debate. I was actually pretty impressed. I think that Jill Stein is very well liked in the Green Party, and it would have been hard for anybody to kind of overcome her popularity within the Green Party. But I remember you did very well in the debate.
I have to share with you 3 things.
Sure.
She never said my name. The only time Dr. Stein said my name was at the convention. She used a bogus title called presumptive nominee. So it wasn't about overcoming, it was about transparency. The third thing is, I want you to laugh. I present well, I speak well, I'm a debater. But according to the internet, Dr. Stein won. That was based on what? Foolishness. If people are honest about who and what our leaders must represent, I'm it. But go ahead.
No, I like the fact, your perspective that you want to, well, what you said was there's no training for people of color in the how to run in the Green Party or to run for president, and that your initial run for vice president was to bring that to light, and like you said, the browning of America.
I wanted to make the other third point is ending white privilege is one of the keys to helping our nation be a better nation. And that was one of the issues I was consistently bringing up in 2016. I don't know if you would remember, but I protested because they were trying to disallow a young person from, even though he's not of age, he represents our future, Elijah Manning. I protested that if he doesn't speak, I'm gonna bring it down. My actions and my behavior are in line with where we need to head as a party, and ending white privilege is the key. The Green Party has folks that have humanity, but white agility exists, the white supremacy, it started from the beginning of our nation's development. It doesn't end because you decide to turn green. We have to uproot and undo that ignorance that exists for not only folks of European descent, for those of us too who don't understand the power and the privilege we have to be citizens of the planet Earth. So I wanted to just end with that third point, that shamefully our party, I asked one question: does white privilege exist within the party? They said yes. I dropped the mic. We got to deal with it. If we're serious about saving our nation and our planet, white privilege, I don't know if you're familiar with the doctrine of discovery or the papal papers. Those in the Berlin Conference, there is documented proof of where whiteness even came from. The White Privilege Conference is something I've supported for 2 decades.
Interesting. What doctrine did you say? The discovery?
Doctrine of discovery.
Uh-huh.
Years, hundreds of years ago, the European monarchs went to the Pope and asked him for his blessing and guidance on how to not fight each other as they take over the world. That's what it's about. You can Google it and you'll be like, wow. So all the ignorance that we're dealing with in the US and around the globe is rooted in a religious doctrine of discovery.
Interesting. I'm going to look that up. That sounds
okay.
Very interesting.
Okay.
So let's start off on your platform. You have a pretty big, I don't know if it's a big difference, but you say it's a difference between you and the typical Green Party. And it comes with the Green New Deal. You deviate from the Green New Deal a little bit. Can you explain that to us?
I don't deviate, I disagree fundamentally. What got us in this mess with the world collapsing, civilizations destroying, people not being able to eat, this system of fake democracy? We need a system change, not a deal. A deal is programs, changing legislation. We need a system change. Our economic system, capitalism is barbaric. It got us here. It cannot get us out. I think it's cute. I think it's nice, but it will not save our species. I don't know why people keep thinking that we can just put Band-Aids over things, make deals. We need a change, a fundamental change to our economic reality.
And so what is that change? How do you see that change happening different than what people are saying about the Green New Deal? Let's put it in.
First and foremost, it's an honest conversation about what got us here. The majority of Americans don't even realize the errors of our founders' ways, starting with reparation. I'm a Black American and a Red American. I hold several bloodlines. And me, I am the message of my ancestors. I want the truth to be known. How come America's wealthy? It's off the taking land from red people, taking labor from Black people, red, yellow people, everybody. But we don't have anything in terms of economic wealth or a good standard of living to talk about. So let's have an honest conversation, a dialogue. Many people don't even realize how we got here. So unless we have first and foremost an honest national dialogue about what got us here, the second thing is a survey. What do people want? What do Americans actually want? We are dealing with a document that's going to be in 57 years, 3 years old. That document had wonderful ideas, had wonderful ways of approaching things, but it lacked fundamental acceptance of humanity for all. So those asking people, surveying, what do we as Americans see in the next, for us at 300? No one's ever asked us. There was a group of dudes got together from Europe that said, this is a good thing. It ain't gonna work right now. So those are two definite steps: history and then a survey. Then we move from there.
Interesting. So you mentioned reparations, and that's an interesting topic to me. I'd like to understand more about it. So in 1988, living victims of internment camps, of the Japanese internment camps, they received $20,000 each.
Yes.
Or is that the type of reparations you're talking about? A one-time payment to the
No. I know that that's a great start, and that economic boost helped each of those individuals, but it did not compensate for the pain, blood, the suffering, the cultural, all those things that happen when you're injured. That money is only a way to boost you better at that moment, but it can't take away from the years of impact. With reparation, by all means, we need some money paid back. I don't know if you heard about the Freedmen's Bureau. It was set up so that Black folk could get that 40 acres and a mule, but the mindset, based on ignorance again, would not allow it to take place. Reparations has to be on all levels: truth and reconciliation, financial, and then mediation of what has happened. I am fortunate that our nation was awoke in the 60s through the push of many Americans of all hues. I'm a Head Start baby. I can speak right English because Head Start helped me. Programs like Head Start, programs like making sure everyone has great schools, great teachers, great mindset. Doing yoga in class. I'm going a little far, but it's bigger than just money. That's my main point.
Interesting. So what other, so when you say it's bigger than just money, could it be, for instance, free college tuition? Could it?
By all means.
Go ahead.
Yes. I'm saying yes, one word to what you say.
Yeah, and also, is there potentially like a universal income? Is that something else, or do you believe more in a one-time payment?
Yes, I keep saying yes. It's more than one. I believe in a universal basic income. I believe in community ownership. I believe in compensating even the motherland for the labor that you stole. So it's bigger than, it's a discussion that we have to have as a nation. When I believe that truth and reconciliation, when we recognize the wrong, then we can kind of measure the hurt and the benefits. There's a big movement around the world with giving back arts that were stolen from the continent back to the actual, nations and countries and individuals that were taken. We have so much of our culture that has been used and not recognized. I mean, look at all these lawsuits with artists, not just Black artists, all kind of artists that have been taken advantage of because the system is set up to rip us off.
Right. Very interesting. You're making me think of reparations in a much broader term. I appreciate it.
I'm happy.
So let's go on to some more typical duties you'd be performing as a president. What would be your foreign policy? We're engaged in many military actions. We're here in or in Venezuela, we're trying to we have sanctions on them. We're trying to change their government to essentially somebody who wasn't elected.
Yes.
What direction would you take? What different direction would you take in foreign policy in the United States?
First and foremost, as an eco-socialist, I am against imperialism, any form of foreign involvement in terms of manipulation in any. If I want that in the nation I am rooted in, I would dictate that in the rest of the world. So in all the evil that has taken place, again, truth and reconciliation. So I stand in support of the globe, climate change, the erosion of everything that's good for our earth is based in imperialism and capitalism. So I always have to start with truth and reconciliation, asking what help of all nations do you honestly need to be the best nation you can be? That starts with us. It would take place with the rest of the world. So foreign policy is about saving humanity from this implosion of our environment. So that could not happen through a gun. So I'm anti-imperialist. I'm against capitalism. So, I mean, we can sing Kumbaya, but you know where I am. I'm in peace and love and soul.
Right. And certainly the military and military actions and wars are obviously just so incredibly bad for the environment. We leave basically battlegrounds that are uninhabitable because of the pollution that we leave there.
Definitely. The military-industrial complex is one that I would dismantle. It's in 1945, if I'm correct, that was when humanity can annihilate ourselves. We didn't need another bomb after 1945. You have to learn to get along. Rodney King, we got to get along or we can only harm each other. So a level of diplomacy and human evolution that must take place. It has to, or we all won't be here. We can't sustain this.
How about election reform? The election reform is very important to the Green Party. Can you tell us, would you make any changes to our electoral system?
Yes, first and foremost, on our platform with the Green Party, we have talked about dissolving the Electoral College way before anybody realized what it was. So we always the forerunners of good. So the Electoral College would go, and it was based on seeing us, Black folks, as 3/5 a human being. That's illogical. But it was based on economics, and it was based on business, as the military-industrial complex supports American corporations around the world. So first and foremost, enact our platform, relinquish the Electoral College, number one. 2, public financed elections, which is on ours. And 3, limiting the amount of individual contributions. There are 158 wealthy families that give more money than anything. So they have been dictating, and the PACs, dictating our politicians for years. So it's just ridiculous. I mean, I know you know this, but it's like the majority of our American citizens only got to understand the Electoral College with him being there. That's what woke them up. But we've been woke. I'm proud of the Green Party. We've been woke.
What do you think about ranked choice voting and proportional representation?
I believe in ranked choice voting. Proportional representation is major. Look at, and that's one of our, we have it's called a GPS 2020. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but it's 15 points we believe in our campaign that if Greens agree on, we could actually move the bar for our nation and the planet. It is critical that people with green values become elected to government. Even within this system that's crazy, we have to be able, our voices need to be heard. When you look at those 15 points, it talks about voting, ballot access, financing, getting on those debates, because we can get 15%. In the presidential debates, they block the corporate funded parties, block us because people care. and want to understand a better humanity.
So many people I talk to know nothing about the Commission on Presidential Debates, and it's really something that we need to educate the public on. So I appreciate your leadership there.
I appreciate you. Thank you. It's not me alone. We have a team.
Sure.
We're all, every Green Party person member, all 250,000 of us need to put on a hat. I'm running for president. Because if we were ambassadors of change and we understood it's not a personality, it's a political party and a movement, we would deal with other Americans very differently. We're not pushing a person, we're pushing a platform and policy changes and an economic system that works for the most of us, or all of us.
Excellent. And what about criminal justice? Are there any changes you would make to our judicial system?
Clearly, I'm degreed in criminology. The only reason I went to college is to find out how come all 10 of my brothers, Black, beautiful, intelligent men, went to jail. That was my quest. I wanted to find out how come all of them went to jail. That isms, I don't believe in racism because there's one race, there's the human race. So that our species has been annihilated with this system that's based on corporate profits. Everything goes back to our economic system. That's how come a deal won't fix criminal reform. It won't fix economic reform. It can't fix, it'll only Band-Aid. So we have to readjust our understanding. The majority of folks in jail have mental issues. They didn't have adequate education, health care. We can trace it. There's this, I was going to look, this is a beautiful, I believe he's Brazilian, a psychologist that did the study that put rats with everything they needed and then rats without what they needed and the rats with everything did well. That's the same thing for human beings. When we have adequate housing, adequate health care, good education, healthy soil, why would we need to steal, rob, rape, and kill? If we had a situation where our best is pushed forward, why wouldn't we give our best? It just, you know, I don't like the lesser thing. No one's less. If you have everything you need to pull out what you're here to do, why would you do anything different?
Excellent.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I agree with you. And I often say that we need to take a look and rethink crimes of poverty. And that's what I think put a lot of people in jail and in prison unnecessarily. So how about, what's your views on immigration? We, right now, Trump wants to build a wall. How would you handle immigration in America?
Okay, back to the beginning. I'm in California. This land was stolen from Mexico. The land was taken from the Europeans, from the indigenous people of the South. These are Quetzalcoatl people, indigenous folks. Everything has a root. I'm sorry, but do you remember the Europeans up in Oregon that were protesting the Native American lands?
No, I don't remember that. What was that about?
They were like taking siege because the cattle couldn't roam in a certain place. All this is ignorant. Many of them support number 45.
Right.
If people, I laugh constantly, like, really? I ran into a brother, he's from Ireland, and he was sharing about the imperial behavior of Britain in Ireland. And we had a genuine conversation about ending imperialism and capitalism. And he alluded to his relations up in Oregon who are doing this. I'm like, they're ignorant. I'm like, go talk to them. Everybody's DNA needs to be tested in the US so they really know where they're from. a blood, you know how they do the immunization? That they need to do a DNA test. So this foolishness about whiteness ends. It's a construct. We're all related. If I'm a donor, if my heart, my liver, my kidney can go to anybody who fits my blood type, stop this foolishness. But folks buy into stupid because they just don't know better. So those honest conversations have to happen. It has to start with dialogue.
I like what you said at the beginning of our interview, that you didn't believe in racism because we're only one race. So how can there be racism? Well, I'm
human.
paraphrasing, but
no, we're human.
Yeah.
I have a funny story. I had just come back from Ghana. I've lived a lot of my life in West Africa, and my adult life, I should say. I'm walking in the post office in Gardena, and I saw an older Black woman, had to be in her 90s, classic church sister, white gloves, little hat, cute. But she gave me the help me grandmother look. I know that look. So I'm walking to her, trying to figure out how come she feels distressed. And I see an older European American, he's cutting up, cursing, acting a fool. And I'm trying to figure out what made him do that. Like, so, you know, I'm still walking slowly. I get to him, and the universe, he's a man. I kissed him on the cheek. He bawled, started crying. My wife died. He didn't even realize he was angry and acting up, but he was upsetting the whole equilibrium of the post office, gave me a hug, you know, told me his story, and the older Black woman started clapping. Like I said, sometimes we are not even aware of our own stuff, but we are human. We are. We cry, pain, hurt. There's nothing new under the sun, the solar system, that we all haven't experienced. So sharing our stories, loving ourselves through, love has to be higher on the threshold. That's what's gonna save us. Care, love, and gratitude for who we are and what we can become. I'm singing Kumbaya.
I really like your disposition.
I have no choice.
I think it's great. It's been very nice talking to you. I did see that you did an interview on a conservative show.
Yes.
It was a radio program, and I appreciate you for going on a conservative radio program and you know, sharing our green perspective. Was there anything you learned on that program?
That they don't know what real free market cost. They don't know. So if we don't share with them that, he was blown away. He was like, wow, I'm liking you. You have to build a bridge. You have to bridge. There's no one I won't have a conversation with, because I know I'm just really fortunate that I had intelligent parents. Everybody didn't have that. They didn't. So I always have to listen to find out. He thought he would scare me. I know you're ignorant, so why would I be afraid of someone that doesn't know? I don't have any fear of someone who's ignorant. I've been ignorant as well. So I can relate to any ignorant person because I have been ignorant. I tell this story. I was in Ghana, and I had been very active in the Democratic Party. I voted for Al Gore, believing that he cared like I did about the environment. I held my nose because of Lieberman, but my commitment was to the earth, and he seemed to care. When I saw the Europeans in Florida, I knew they were Republican. I spent almost $300 of my own money trying to wake up every Black and brown Democrat I could. This is a setup. This is a setup. Nobody would listen. So I decided, I'm 40 years old. I'm intelligent. I don't like what I see. What's the difference between Al Gore and me? Privilege. Privilege. We don't actually understand, I don't believe, really the privilege has a price. All these wealthy folks, those 158 families I spoke of, the person sitting in the White House, it has cost us. Their privilege has cost us our planet's survival. We got to call it out. We can call it out in a nice way. We can call it out in a mean way, but we got to call it out. And I was calling him out. That's it. But in a fun, loving, sprinkly way, but he got it. He got it. So we have to be better ambassadors as Green Party members, not be so rigid. I was a fool too. I was a vegan for 14 years. So I'm one of them people that used to splatter red paint on people, do stupid stuff. You're only creating chaos and harm. We gotta be better listeners and better bridge builders. We can do it. The American people and public wanted. In 2016, when I ran, there were normal Americans paying for my grocery bills. I'm in a supermarket, at a gas station, going to people inviting me to stay at their homes, regular folks. I got more love from regular Americans that didn't look like me than anybody else. People want a change. We have to just be organized enough as the Green Party to be in step with a plan. That's the GPS 20. Our 10 key values, our 4 pillars, and the global movement we're a part of in 90 nations.
Sedinam, can I ask you to repeat maybe the last minute of what you said? We had an interruption. Just about the last minute.
I don't remember.
I think we got the message. I'm just going to make that clear that on the video that we did have an interruption. So a couple of sentences of what she said may have been missed, but I think we got the message. Sedinam,
okay.
Is there anything else you want to cover in this interview before we have to get? I know you said you were on a short time.
I have relatives that showed up. I want something really clear, and this is to Green Party people.
Sure.
This is to you, my Green brothers and sisters. No one is predetermined. No one is a presumptive nominee. We must not allow manipulation, handling, insider to determine anything about 2020. I want to challenge everyone seeking your nod to have a plan, to join a clear plan so that we win, as well as work with the left so we all win in 2020. Peace.
I really like what you said about Green Party having to be better ambassadors, and I think that's a great message to put out there. Do you have a website, or can you tell people how they could donate to your campaign or volunteer?
Yes. www.sedinam2020.com. Sign up, learn, grow, plant, weed, root, be a better green in 2020.
Excellent. Sedinam, it was a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate you running for the Green Party, and thank you for doing the interview.
All the best.
Thank you.